Anyway, so I am joined here with Jacob from AK Quality Enforcement, and we're going to go ahead and get into the downfall or the rise and fall of KUSA and kind of where they're at now. And you're probably not going to find someone that knows more about the situation than Jacob. Jacob, man, if you would introduce yourself really quick, and then I'll kind of get everyone up to speed on my relationship with KUSA, and then we'll talk about when you entered the picture.
All right. So, my name's Jacob. I am AK Quality Enforcement on IG, and I do have a little small YouTube channel. Created it. What was that you said earlier? It was like 2022. I think I created that because I got banned. It was actually called Banned by Kalashnikov USA back then.
Yeah, I believe your Instagram started in December of 22.
Yeah. So that was all because I got banned because I pointed out that their ammo is made in Azerbaijan instead of USA or wherever they were saying it was made from. But yeah, that was how it started.
Yeah, I think they said made for us, by us, or some weird marketing.
Yeah, it was like
it was repackaged Azerbaijani ammo.
Pretty much.
So yeah, you had made your channel. Now it's AK Quality. It used to be banned by KUSA, and I remember that had popped up, and your channel grew rapidly because it was kind of that was just a hot topic at the time. And then not too long after that, they started to have the out of battery issue with the KP9s, which you kind of blew the lid off. And for lack of a better term, you and all of your followers kind of bullied KUSA into owning up to issues and actually saying something about it and doing something about it, which hadn't really been done. Like, people had tried it with PSA, people had tried it with Sentry. You tried it, and there were actual changes implemented because of your memes, which was awesome.
Yeah, I think it was people say about PSA. I think PSA is kind of they're in a financial situation where doesn't really bother them, right? KUSA wasn't really in the financial situation, I guess, to ignore it. That's my opinion. That's what I think is what drove the changes and everything, and then to actually address it because it was hurting their sales. That's what I think.
That's actually a really good perspective. I don't think I've ever heard you say that before, but that's a very good perspective. So without taking up too much of your time, let me get through my history with this company.
Yeah, go ahead.
This all started way back in 2000, around 2018-ish. There's a guy named Matt Boosin. I know he's going to be okay with me name dropping him. He goes by Bugsy on Instagram. Matt had just taken a job in Pompano Beach, Florida at KUSA, and he had, I guess, watched my channel and knew of Tony, my business partner, the Kyber Customs guy that you guys always see on the channel. And at the time, we had already done a few of our Kalashmas events, which ended up kind of blooming into bigger events like Kalash Bash. But at the time, we were doing small events, and we had pulled off our very first Kalash Bash in 2019. And back in those days, KUSA was kind of just thought of this as like a smoke and mirrors company. They had for years said they were going to make this KP9, which was a Saiga 9 clone for years, like props at SHOT Show 3 years in a row, like non-functioning guns. And it just sort of out of nowhere, like KP9 started to materialize in shotguns. Anyway, out of the blue, we had our first KB that maybe 275-ish people showed up to. But for us, we felt super successful. It was a lot of work, and I think some people took notice. I get a random DM one day by Bugsy, who introduces himself as a new employee at this KUSA company. I'm like, whoa, I thought this was like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Like, people actually work there? No one's ever seen any of these people.
Yeah.
He says, listen, there's a new guy that's taken over named Bill Gentry, VP of Marketing. He is tasked with turning this company around and changing everyone's perspective. We make good guns here. I'm a huge AK enthusiast. I'm an aspiring gunsmith. AKs are my bread and butter, and I want this company to be a part of your event some way, somehow, if you'll have us. So, I mean, dude, I thought it was spam. I did not think this dude was serious, and out of nowhere, he puts us in touch with Bill Gentry.
You know, it's funny, just not to interrupt you, but the way he talked about, we got a new VP of marketing that's supposed to turn this company around. How many times have we heard that since then, right?
Oh, it's like a revolving door. It's such a brief period of time, like 2019 to now.
Yeah.
3 VPs of marketing.
Anyway, sorry.
Anyways, so Bill Gentry is if you've ever met him, it's kind of hard to not like him. He could sell ice to an Eskimo kind of guy. He's very fast talking, but he's very passionate, and he's like a motivational speaker, and he's just a good guy. We had a brief phone call with him, and he was very serious. He says, if Matt says you guys are good to go, then sure, I'm new here, but it'd be cool to do some boots on the ground stuff and have our company come out to events. So he wanted at first to sign like a 5-year deal, like 5-year title sponsor of your event, which we knew nothing about this company. That was a terrible idea. We said no to that. We talked about a 3-year deal after they had come to one of our Christmas events, and we'll feel it out. If Kalashmas goes well with KUSA, then let's do a 3-year deal, title sponsor the bash. And somehow everyone said yes, and we signed some paperwork. So it was right after April. Kalash Bash in 19 happened in April. That December, KUSA shows up to our tiny little Christmas event, and dude, like, blows the lid off the place. People loved him. Bill worked the microphone. They had 103 prototypes out there. They were letting people do teardown challenges with them. They parked a red Ferrari next to their booth at our tiny little range. I mean, you can go back in time and find pictures. It's all there. But it was so great. And people were asking these guys questions like, tell us about RWC, tell us about data packs. And Bill laid it all out. Yes, same company. Yes, we have data packs. Yes, we had Russian connections. Now we don't. But we used to, but we have a lot of data packs, and we're going to start building guns 1-to-1 based on those data packs. And we've got all these, gunsmiths, and people just argue down to the grain that we're putting on the grip. Like, he talked a huge game about this company, and Bugsy was there every step of the way. Evan Rosenthal was there back in those days.
Yeah.
A guy named Reese was there back in those days.
I know Reese. Yeah.
You know Reese.
Cadillac
Jack. I was just looking at his page. But this was like the very wholesome era of KUSA, where it seems like everyone had the best intentions. They were doing what they said they were going to do. Guns started to materialize, and they were actually going to events and talking to people, which I recommend any vendor do, especially if you're up and coming. So first KB that they work is 2020. At that time, I had already done some reviews on the KR-103, and the thing was holding up great. 5,000 rounds. I used to have a ton of videos on it. I don't need more, and you'll find out why later.
Yeah.
But, they had come to Kalash Bash in 2020, and, everything was awesome. Like, people loved him. Bill was a freaking rock star on the microphone. I mean, the biggest crowd was at the KUSA booth. They had all the momentum in the world. At this time, people were really liking the guns. KP9s were like the hottest thing around, and they were working, and they weren't breaking. Literally someone had thrown the keys. And I say this all the time about KUSA. This was about the time where someone had thrown the keys to the American AK market at their feet. All they had to do is pick them up, start the car, and start driving.
Yeah.
It was the first time American AK buyers were really invested in a full-blown American-made AK company after the whole Century thing and, the many pitfalls of PSA. You're not throwing shade, but, there's a stigma to American-made AKs, and it seemed like at this time, KUSA could do no wrong. Even though there were haters, a lot of people wanted these guys to succeed. So they friggin' crush KB 2020, just absolutely crush it. Amazing speeches were given. Those of you that were at the event, had a great time. Lots of prizes. Great time. Remember, we had signed a contract with these guys for 3 events. There was KB 1, there was going to be KB 2, and there should have been KB 3. So fast forward a year, things go, I'm leaving out a very important detail. There was something that had happened at KB 2020 that is kind of important. It's some people don't think so, but sorry, let me silence my phone. I don't want any more of these text messages to come through. All right. So at KB 2020, there was a sponsored shooter there who was a military vet, and really nice lady, shot the match, had a great time. That was their sponsored shooter at the time. And I remember Bill even borrowed some of my AK mag carriers for this lady to go shoot the match, showed her how to do some reloads. They zeroed her gun. And it was at that event they had their first 103 prototype that The people of KB put 5,000 rounds through, and it was this big publicity thing. It all worked out great. Fast forward a year. Things are going great. We have constant communication with Bill. We're reviewing their guns, putting stuff on YouTube. My YouTube's very small at the time. It was right before KB21. They had just hired Elena James. Feel free to Google her. Probably shouldn't. They had just hired.
You missed the part where Bill left.
Well, I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay.
So it was at KB 2021. Shortly before that, there was all these rumblings. I remember Elena James had been on like this big Recoil magazine cover, and everyone was talking about her. I think the title of the magazine was Gun Porn. And it was like this controversial thing. Some people loved it. Some people hated it. Well, they ended up hiring her to be like the face of the company, branding, and a quote unquote female sponsored shooter, which was all great. Good intentions. At KB21, it was the day of the event. I want to say it was Friday. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing. Bill's out there with his flip flops and his cargo shorts. And I walk up to Bill and I'm like, "Hey man, you ready for a good time?" And he says, "This is Clay. This is David Garrettson. David Garrettson, this is Clay." And he introduces me basically to his replacement, the new VP of marketing. We had no idea Bill was leaving. He never said a word. I mean, we had conversations every week leading up to KB because that's what you do with your title sponsor. You keep constant communication. And he just sort of hit us like a ton of bricks, like Bill's leaving. At Kalash Bash, he tells us he's leaving. And he says, yeah, they've got this new sponsored shooter. I'm sure she'll do just fine. And this is Dave. Dave will take good care of you. It's been good, boys, but I'm catching a plane tonight. And Bill was gone, just like that.
That's wild.
And Mossberg left with him, John Mossberg, who was running the company at the time, with Bill. They both left together and went to other companies together. Even to this day, John Mossberg and Bill Gentry are now at PTR together. So at KB21, Dave Garrettson was great. He was very honest about being new to the whole AK thing, the AK world. And he was honestly kind of moved by the people of the AK world. He just thought, wow, what a awesome group of people that he never knew about. He thought we're all weird neckbeards that liked anime, which we are, but it's in a good way. And he gave an awesome speech. But at KB 2021, during the match, Elena had been disqualified. Happens all the time at competitions. This is nothing new. I have been DQ'd from competitions. It's normal. You got to take your L's and walk it off and not be salty about it. It's the way she goes. You shoot enough matches, you're going to get DQ'd. She got DQ'd, and I remember that night at the campsite, dude, like, look out. This chick was ready to burn this motherfucker to the ground, right? And Mike and Lan from Dissident Arms host our competition. So she was very upset with Dissident Arms, who she actually had a shotgun from at the time too. And, we'll touch on that later. But that event happens. It kind of starts a ripple effect that affects the third and final KB, which was the way to end their contract and make everyone whole, and everyone, would be done with what they signed up to do. So I remember seeing Elena here and there at other matches over the next year. And again, KUSA did fucking great at 20 and 21. They did great at the events, followed the contract to the T. The people had a great time at their booth. They couldn't have asked for better title sponsors. Over the next year, I had heard all these rumblings that Elena had it out for Dissident, our match directors. Never really thought it was a big deal, but apparently it was, man. And we prepped for KB. KB takes 6 months to put on, and we're prepping, and KUSA back in business. We're keeping constant communication with them. Everything seems great. Don't really hear from Elena much. I see her at a couple matches here and there. All is well. We high five. Everything's cool. And then I want to say it was about 4 weeks before KB was live. The only vendor that had not paid us at that time was KUSA. We had no prizes and no money from them, our title sponsor. Mind you, we had already had all the shirts made with their logo. We had promoted KUSA for 3 months leading up to this event, telling everyone, come see our title sponsor. That's what you do with a title. You'd waste all this time and effort promoting them and shouting their company's name from a rooftop. That's what they pay you to do, to come to an event. That was all done. We had all of our lanyards that we spent a lot of money on. Jacob, you've seen our lanyards. They're nice. They're foldable, awesome. Maps in them.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. The artist had KUSA all over it, all of which had to be dumped in a trash can and remade last minute. Same thing with our t-shirts. So when this happened 4 weeks out, they called Tony and basically said, hey, can't say much. We're pulling out of KB. Maybe we'll tell you later. Tony panics, calls me, tells me the situation. And I said, well, we got to know something, dude. The event's 4 weeks out. The way that we build KB, every single vendor that signs up for this event has a booth. The booth space costs money. Costs us money. We have to rent it, and vendors rent it from us. Any booth space that goes unfilled, we owe the range the money for that booth space. KUSA being a title sponsor, their booth space is $15,000, which is accounted for in the budget.
Yeah.
We plan on having that money to pay the bills, to buy the golf carts for everyone, to build the match, everything. So for a vendor, the only vendor that hasn't paid us to pull out and all that money not be there, kind of stings. Hurts the bottom line quite a bit. It almost makes us work for free to do all this. The excuse that we were given was that Mike and Lan, Dissident Arms, had acted extremely rude, unprofessional. They weren't paying bills, so on and so on, like a bad business deal between Dissident and KUSA by proxy, made KUSA pull out and kind of screw the pooch for everybody. Yeah. And we just sort of got caught in the crossfire. What had actually happened was KUSA was selling Dissident Arms pallets and pallets of KL-12s that Dissident Arms turns into raced out 3-gun AKs. They were selling them blims for months, but they were charging them full price and they were being super sneaky about it. Mike and Lan got wind of this and started refusing shipments for months and not paying the bill because they were not receiving these firearms. A huge back and forth happened with KUSA and Dissident. Basically, KUSA saying, if you you cannot refuse any more shipments, you need to start paying for these guns, and you owe us a lot of back pay for all these guns that you've refused in the past.
Yeah.
All of this was happening on cell phones. KUSA didn't want to do any of this over email. So a lot of this, like Mike and Lang can't even show you. This was all over cell phones until a very heated phone call erupted when Todd, I don't know Todd's last name. If I can get it, I'll
can't remember it and all this. Oh, Glass.
Todd Glass, who was running the company.
That's not him. That's not him. That's another Todd I know. I can't remember his name all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm drawing the blanks. And maybe
anyway,
we shouldn't even say last names. Who knows?
Yeah, why not?
Todd is the guy running KUSA at this time, but no, I never met the guy, never heard of the guy. He wasn't even on LinkedIn. He was like a shadow character who was actually pulling a bunch of the strings, who reported directly to the owners of this company, who showed their face later.
Yeah.
Todd had basically called Mike and Lan, threatening to sue them and all this crazy stuff if they didn't, over a cell phone, if they didn't pay their bills right now and start receiving these shipments. And as you can imagine, a very heated phone call ensued. Phone call ended. Todd instructed Evan to pull the plug on KB. Doesn't matter what happens. If they want to take us to small claims court, let them. I dare them to. And that's kind of how that happened. You know, also what had been happening in the background, Elena James was not making things any easier on us. She had basically convinced KUSA that Dissident discriminated against her and kicked her out of the match the year prior. So kind of killing two birds with one stone, screwing Dissident over on this thing. And, you know, no one really thought about how this affected Tony and I or the people that spent all this money to go to KB and see them. So at that time, we started reaching out to David Garrettson and trying to fix this whole situation. Now that we knew Mike and Lan's story, we weren't getting anywhere with KUSA. We're like 2 weeks from the event. Dave basically takes a cell phone and marches into Todd's office and hands him the phone. We're on this phone. And he says, listen, if you're going to screw these guys, it needs to come from you. My hands are clean of this. We then have about a 10-minute call with Todd about what can be done to fix this, because you had a contract that you signed. So all you got to do is send a skeleton crew out to KB, put your prize guns on the table, pay us a little check, and all is well. And then you never have to talk to us again for all we care. Todd basically said, yeah, you know, guys, and we'd never met Todd at this point. We basically got two things, guys. Number one, I'm looking at your Kalash Bash website here. I don't see our name anywhere. I'm looking at your Instagram. I don't see our name anywhere. So you say we're this big part of your event, and I don't even see our name anywhere. And I said, yeah, dummy, we deleted it all because you pulled out 2 weeks ago. All that's been deleted. When you sign another contract and come out, I'll put it all back up.
Yeah.
I didn't say it that way. It was very respectful, but I'm like, that's why it's not there. And he said, well, yeah, you know, this other thing is, you know, we have a sponsored shooter that we're very proud of, and they were treated very unfairly at your last event. So we really can't support an event that treats people in that manner. So guys, this doesn't fit our portfolio. So have a good weekend. And that's kind of how the call ended. So anyway, Kalash Bash happens. A shitload of pissed off people are asking, where's KUSA? Had this huge hole at the event that I had to bite the bullet and pay for. And vendor after vendor, like the PSA guys, are just coming over there frothing at the mouth. What happened with KUSA? I would have paid you double for that spot. Like all these super pissed off vendors that wanted that spot, we had no time to even offer it to them. So now everyone's mad at us for KUSA's problem.
Yeah.
And the next year is just a bunch of bullshit. Elena and then eventually Jesse James dragging us through the mud over things they know nothing about. Speaking for KUSA on Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, saying the pretty nasty things about our event that aren't true, that have nothing to do with them. Jesse James has never even been to our event and would say some pretty nasty stuff online. So it was just salt in the wound. I'm like, dude, I was such a fan of this guy and had nothing against her. And then all this bullshit, man, it just made it so much worse to where I would never forgive KUSA for any of that, for putting us in that situation. Anyway, rant over. That took 20 minutes. So now we come to a year and a half has gone by. We do Lethal Weapons and, have a whole nother event. Everything's great. And then December of 2022, Azerbaijani ammo thing.
Yeah.
Your page pops up, and then the rest is history. So let's get into that, dude.
All right.
So how did you get banned by KUSA, and why did you start that channel? Just remind everybody.
Well, they posted a picture. I think it was a picture. It was like of the box of ammo, and it had the stamp on the bottom of it, right? And they were saying, what was it? It was like made by us, for us, or I can't remember what that little that saying, that marketing was. But it was like, no, that's Azerbaijani ammo. So I was commenting on their post about it, and they banned me. And I don't know why. I really don't know why I did. I created another account that was just banned by Kalashnikov USA. And I just don't remember what exactly all I don't know how it got traction. I think I just started posting memes.
I think a lot of people got banned by them, so they all flocked to your page.
Yeah. So I was just posting memes about, like, I don't know, just KUSA and quality, or I guess, or so. I don't remember what all. I have to go back and look, because I think it's all still there. And then I think they shut me down, so I had to create a backup page, and then I got this one back, and it was just just something.
Well, like it or not, you got pretty heavily involved with all the background, and you were privy to some information that most people don't even know to this day. And I think, to let the cat out of the bag, it just seems like as of right now, August of 2024, KUSA is probably dead.
Yeah, the auction for their assets, I believe, was supposed to be this week, but it's been postponed. There's rumors, of course. I can't get anybody to tell me the truth, but rumor has it they had something else lined up, but who knows? Who knows? It's all, the owners are different.
So it's kind of what spurred this video. I've filmed this video like 3 times over and decided I don't want to post it. I don't want to put that smoke out there yet, because what if they come back? I kind of hope they do. Seems like they're not. So I reached out to you and said, dude, I think it's time. Might as well just tell everyone all the bullshit and kind of where they are now. So I think we can speak freely.
Yeah. Yeah, because no one's there anymore. I think Todd might be the only one still there.
The 2 guys I really liked, John and Matt, I believe, are both gone. I know Matt's gone. Pretty sure John's gone. So I'm, not hurting anybody's feelings.
Yeah.
Anyway, you and I started talking because I saw your page blowing up, and I'm like, it's been a year and a half, and I never got closure from the whole KUSA thing. And, you had tagged, I'm looking at our very first messages, and you had tagged me on a couple of posts, and I said something like, maybe if their stupid decisions finally get bullied enough, or if enough people know about them, they'll actually change. And they friggin' did. Like, they started issuing letters to people that own KP9s to start sending them back in to have the bolts fixed because of your page.
Yeah.
And that's when, I started talking. I was like, dude, if you can make that happen, like, let me unload some stuff on you. I've been wanting to get off my chest for a while. And then I told you the story, and you started posting about them pulling out of KB, and they went real quiet on that shit. And it wasn't too long after that, a guy named Cody came into the picture.
Yeah.
Get into that a little bit if you wouldn't mind.
Well, Cody, see, I'm trying to think here. Cody was brought in, I think, right after or right during the KP9 stuff, because they were, I think, having trouble with their image, I guess, because I think that, they had gotten some arguments in the comments and stuff like that. Like,
they had a year and a half of the Elena James era.
Yeah.
Just getting destroyed online and her getting really nasty with people in comments. They had a year and a half of that. And then when Cody came in, he came in January of 2023, like a month after your page started to blow up.
Yeah, he called me. I think I got a phone call. I don't remember how he got my number. I don't remember how, but he called me and I'm like, hello? Who is this? And he told me who he was and everything. He's like, I'm coming in to change this company, to turn it around. I'm making decisions. And I think when he got there, he I don't know if this is true. This is him just telling me, he's like, I fired 30 people. I'm trying to get it in the right direction. Elena left or got fired. Who knows? He was actually doing a lot to change that place. At least I could tell. I mean, he started to do the social media, and he had a couple run-ins there right at the end, and that's what kind of spurred him to leave, along with the financial situation that he saw on the wall. But he seemed to be really trying to make that place better.
Yeah, Cody had made a post introducing himself, who he was, and he kind of had an off-the-cuff comment about saying, like, hey, KUSA is coming back to Kalash Bash bigger and badder than ever, and you had tagged me in it. And yeah. I'm looking at the message. I said, FYI, nobody has spoken to me in a year and a half. And you were like, oh, so you repost the video. And like, what do you say about this? Cody was in my DMs swiftly apologizing. And I basically told him the whole situation too. And he's like, believe it or not, nobody here's told me about any of that. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't think they would, man. He's kind of one of the Bobs from Office Space. They just the cleanup crew to come in and fix things.
Yeah.
And I will say he reached out to us many times trying to fix things, but it just wasn't the right time yet. And he ended up bouncing not too long after that. Like you said, I think he was beating a dead horse and was getting nowhere, and he ended up leaving. And he had just come from CNC Triggers doing a bunch of consulting for them, which I believe he was successful.
He saw from my conversation. I don't know if I should say too much about what he had found there, but it was just he saw the writing on the wall shortly. I think because what you said, January, it must have been like March or April or something like that, where he finally started seeing the writing on the wall on what's going on behind the scenes. Now, this was before any of the court stuff came out about them owing money and everything. Apparently that was been going on for a while that no one knew about, but before, and he saw all that and was like, whoa. So I guess he had started playing his exit at that point.
So that's actually my next note. All the vendors that started to come out of the woodwork that following year. And when the whole KB thing had happened, I had several vendors, JMac Customs, Krebs Customs, Echo 93, a bunch of people that were all starting to reach out and say, hey, I think you dodged a bullet there, because they're burning bridges left and right. They owed money to a ton of vendors because KUSA was also trying to be like a bid. They wanted to distribute products from all kinds of different companies. I don't know what terms they were signing up to, net 60, net 90, whatever it was. They weren't paying a lot of these vendors. A lot of vendors to this day are owed thousands of dollars.
Millions.
Sure, millions.
In the MEMS, like what, 1 point something million?
Yeah, millions. Some small guys, tens of thousands of dollars, which probably hurts a little more than the big companies getting owed millions. I mean,
yeah,
for Mark Krebs to be owed tens of thousands of dollars for sending parts still to this day. I mean, that part kind of kicked me in the nuts. And he's one of dozens of companies.
Yeah, someone was telling me a while back that one of the small business owners in the hole for $700,000, and he almost lost his business, everything because of KUSA, and it's like, man, and that kind of hit a little home too, especially when it asked for favors, hey, take this down. What about these people that you're fucking, like, no, I'm not doing that. No.
Yeah, and KUSA should feel good that a lot of these companies didn't say a peep about it until until your page started popping up, and a lot of companies started really speaking up. I think they knew they were never going to get paid, and then they started like realizing like, oh, I'm like one of a lot of companies that ain't never going to get paid.
Yeah.
And there was like a solid year of this, of just, oh, this guy's owed money. Oh, this company's owed money. Oh, they're being sued by this company. Oh, here's another lawsuit. It really started this like downward spiral. But all the while, they were still making guns. Like the 103 was still selling. The 104 had come out. KP9s are still popular. The infamous AK-12 safety selector thing had happened with a bunch of the 104s, which not a huge deal, but it happened.
Yeah.
And during that time, they were still hyping up that 101 year after year.
It's been like 5 years, wasn't it?
5 years, like the same SHOT Show booth 3 years in a row, which Tony and I were at these SHOT Show booths back when we were in their good graces, hanging out. Like they got me and Tony into our first SHOT Show, wearing a KUSA lanyard, working their booth, doing teardown challenges. Like, I mean, we did a lot for those guys back then. So anyway, we're back into that year after, Cody had left. More and more companies are starting to come out of the woodwork, despising this company, but they're still making guns, and we still have no K101. No, without naming names, I know some names you don't want to name, but this isn't the first company to try and completely back out from buying this company.
No, this is I'll name names. We can name names. I know PSA. I think. Shoot, that was back months and months ago. So when did this all start? I'm trying to think of when this all started. Was this last year when this all started? I think it was last summer.
Based on your messages, the certain individual who I was speaking to yesterday, like a year ago today was when you started telling me about this individual going in through the process to buy it.
From what I understand, PSA had made an offer before that.
Got it. So that had been over a year ago.
And the owners turned it down. Little did I know at the time, no one wants to buy debt. I think any business owner will tell you that no one wants to buy debt. And the problem is that the IP, which is KUSA IP and the TDP, are all owned by RWC, which is not part of KUSA if you were to buy it. When you buy KUSA, you're just buying, from what I understand, I could be wrong, but you're just buying the assets of that company, which is going to be the parts, the stock, I guess in any equipment or whatever. And from what I understand, a lot of stuff was moved out of KUSA prior to all this happening.
And those TDPs, the data packs that they've like a carrot dangled in front of all of us for years, saying we could make so much stuff, we can clone so much stuff that everyone wants.
They're garbage. I've heard from multiple people say that they're smorgasbord of data, and it's just nothing's correct. That's what I've heard. I mean, that's from people that have allegedly seen them, I was like, dang, well, that explains a lot, especially when it comes to the 101. So I don't know.
Multiple companies have, I don't even want to say tried and failed, I guess have tried to go into negotiations to buy the company and saw the writing on the wall, I guess, as Cody did, and decided that the juice was not worth the squeeze with this company. Even at a decent price, the juice is probably not worth the squeeze at this company. Because like you said, so much would not be included with that buyout.
Yeah, and not only that, let's say, from what I understand, I'm trying to remember the numbers here. It's been a little bit since I thought about it, but you're talking about $5 million in debt, right? And then the owners wanted $5 million. So $10 million with half of it's going to debt. Just pay back. Not only that, is that my wife texts me. Not only that, is that none of the vendors want to deal with you anymore. You know what I mean? Like, even if you bought it, you still have the stigma of not paying. So there's a big mountain to climb if you were to buy KUSA. Well, let me close the door real quick.
Sure. While you're doing that, I will get into Kalash Bash this year, April of 2024. So I would say maybe 2 months leading up to it, an olive branch came our way via Matt and said, hey, you know, shit's crazy here. I can't say much. I am working my ass off every day to try to get this 101 out. It's my baby. Matt's the guy. If you watch all the SHOT Show footage, Matt's the guy really hyping up the 101 and that Space AK that they had at the most recent SHOT Show they were at like 2 years ago. Yeah. They weren't at the last one because they owed a lot of money to the company that was like holding all of their booth parts, so they couldn't even go to SHOT Show. Par for the course.
I think that was $40,000.
Right, which is not that much money at all for a big company. So Matt, I kept the door open all the time just for Matt. Matt is the reason we started working with KUSA in the first place, and he is like the shining star over there. And whatever happens to KUSA, Matt will be fine, I promise you. So on that note, I go to SHOT Shows. So it's backpedaling to January. I go to the Rifle Dynamics open house. I'm with you. I'm with PSR and a couple of the other homies. Out of nowhere, what do we see? We see John Kaysen, who is now the 3rd VP of marketing.
Yeah.
But he's been there a long time, and we instantly make eye contact. I'm like, oh, shit. Here we go. Friggin' John with KUSA this is at SHOT Show. RD does an open house every year. KUSA is not at SHOT Show. John's just like in town, I guess, trying to put in FaceTime any way he can. He and I start talking, and he's basically saying, listen, I hate the way things ended between us. As you know, Clay, this was not my decision. And John was not involved with any of that bullshit that happened back then. So I know that's true. And we get to talking, and I just sort of let him have it, let all my frustrations out as professional as I can. And just, a contract's a contract. Money was owed. You didn't pay it. Me and Tony are 2 guys. 15 grand hurts, dude. It really does. It hurts. It hurts big time. Not only that, the amount of work we did years prior, to stick your neck out for an American-made AK company is social suicide in this space. And I did that for you guys because I believed in you, just like a lot of other people did. Yeah. For you to burn me like that, if I could go back and change anything, I never would have said Matt. I never would have said yes to Matt years ago. So I'm laying all this on him. And he says, listen, I want to make it up to you this year. He's like, I don't care if you give us a booth in the corner nobody sees. Is there a way I can send a skeleton crew to KB? And I kind of ran it by the homies because Matt, Mike and Lan need to say yes or no. And I told him, like, you really need to call Dissident and work shit out with them. I'll go ahead and give you a soft yes, but if you can convince Mike and Lan that you guys aren't a bunch of dirtbags and you're going to screw us over again, if they say yes, I'll say yes. Yeah. Anyway, they had a conversation, and it was a good conversation. And all the while, all my emails are to John and Matt, and I tell them I refuse to talk to Evan Rosenthal. I refuse to talk to Todd. I'm talking to you guys only for this event. Here's a piece of paper. All this piece of paper says, if you sign it, that you will be there in the flesh. That's all you guys got to do. Put a couple guns on the prize table. Done. So at this time, this was right before they had announced the whole bankruptcy thing that I think you blew the lid off on your page. Yeah. So they come to KB, and what people don't know, the night before KB, they got into Houston really late. I think they missed their first flight, got in really late. All of their shit showed up super late. It wasn't even on the flight. So I remember at like 1 o'clock in the morning, Friday night, the day before KB was live. They're calling us, begging for forklifts. It was, am I losing you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Am I back?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, signal might be getting a little weak. All right, let me kill that. Anyway, they got into KB super late, and I'm telling you, these guys busted their asses. They literally had to like pay some dude cash to get in a minivan, drive to a warehouse to pick up their stuff that wasn't even at the airport, drive it to the venue. The owner had to drive to the venue just to open the gate because no one was there at 1 o'clock in the morning. And they one by one broke this panel down to the back of this dude's van. And John is like threatening to fight with the van owner who's threatening to leave with their shit if a forklift doesn't come unload it. So John is like threatening bodily harm to this guy while Matt's in the back taking piece by piece out of this container because they can't get it out of the van.
Yeah.
Me and Tony finally show up at the ass end of this. The van, limping on its last cylinder, leaves the place, right? They're all sweaty and gross. And I'm like, what was that? They were like, dude, we are not missing KB this year. For the love of fucking God. We're going to this event. And I was like, shit, dude. Little did we know.
All the while, you know, I don't even think they were getting paid at that point.
Right. Little did we know earlier that day, they land in Texas. And that's when a big company-wide email goes out that says, hey, shit's fucked. We're going bankrupt. We can't pay anyone. We don't know when we're paying anyone. And a lot of people are getting laid off. And these dudes worked the entire weekend, not making a dime.
Yeah.
And they never said a word. They never complained.
Nope.
Nothing. I mean, even you guys that were there, you were like, dude, the KUSA guys were great, man. Like John was in good spirits.
I did a video with John Kaysen about the 101. And shoot, I actually I talked to Matt about the 101 and I got to shoot it. And I was like, oh man, this is great, you know, and this is awesome. And little did I know, you know, at the time I was like, man, that sucks.
Yeah. And it just goes to show, like, even though KUSA made a bunch of terrible decisions, there were people there that had nothing to do with all that. And they're ultimately the ones that paid the price because they're all either losing their jobs or they all had to find new jobs. Some had to move.
Yeah.
So because of upper management and their decisions, guys like Todd and the owners, that affected guys like that would come out and bust their ass purely to just make me and Tony okay with them again, do all that shit, talk to hundreds of people, and put a smile on their face knowing they probably don't have a job to go back to. That's why John and Matt are good people. So
yeah, and that, like, forget there was that guy, that other young guy there. I think his name was John as well.
That was the first time I'd ever met him. I didn't know much about him.
He was a new employee. I think Cody hired him. I think he was an engineer. I think he was an engineer as well. And he actually, I talked to him, I think last week. He landed at a cosmetic, some kind of cosmetic manufacturer, making like double the money. So he also, but he was a young guy. He was a really young guy. I mean, it seemed like he was in his early 20s, maybe, or maybe 21, 22. I don't know. But just looking at him, you know, he looked younger, but yeah, they all cared. And just to think, would I be happy knowing that I just got basically fired and not getting paid for this trip? Man, that's kind of wild.
And they did it anyway, dude. So, and it wasn't a few days after that. Old AK Quality Enforcement makes a post like, oh shit, they're friggin' bankrupt. And I remember there were a bunch of people that were like, weren't they just at KB? What does this mean?
Yeah.
And, oh, dude, it just shit hit the fan after that. And that's when it never got any better. That's when
the Hail Mary for the 101 pre-orders.
Oh, dude, explain that. Because that happened after the bankruptcy announcement.
Yeah, they made the bankruptcy out, and then they made a pre-order. I think I can't remember how many. I think it was only like 70 or 80 actually pre-ordered that thing.
And what was it, $1,500?
Yeah, something like that. And then they had the receivers. This is what we hear, right? There was some kind of issue with the heat treat, the way they stack them, you know, in this oven or whatever. And they're all, and I don't know if that's what caused it all to go to shit. You know, if they lost all that money on the receivers, or if it just never happened anyway. Who knows, right? But yeah, all those people basically just gave them money for nothing. That's crazy. And I've been telling people have been reaching out. I was like, just do a chargeback, right? Because even if they let's say somebody buys them, all those people, Matt, John, they're all gone.
Yeah, the best parts of KUSA are no longer there.
Best parts of KUSA is gone. So what? I mean, even if you get a gun, you know what I mean? Just do a chargeback. Just get your money back. just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That really was like the final nail in the coffin of like any faith anyone's ever going to have with this company ever again, was them doing that. And Matt was the one spearheading these 101s.
Yeah.
The 101 was his baby. Matt's not there anymore, and he ain't looking back. The 101's probably, you will never see a KUSA branded 101 in this country. It's not going to happen, which is unfortunate. So I think that kind of gets us to possibly where we are now. I mean, you can search KUSA.com. You'll get a 401, a 404, website not found. And from some recent information that you've gotten, whatever deal they were trying to work has fallen through. Probably going to go to auction and get liquidated. KUSA is dead. And it's not a good thing for the AK community as a whole. All it really does is make it hard for the next company that wants to be the next American AK brand. They have so much stigma and bullshit to fight through, even if their guns are good. It's just history has taught us that these American brands just don't really give us what we really want, even though, they're, Century's still around, PSA's still around. And I think they honestly do mean well and they want to make good guns. But the track record for American AKs is so bad. And KUSA made us take 2 steps backwards, to where we were when RAS 47s were out. Now there's no trust for American brands.
And you mentioned that. That's a good point. I have my conversations with the previously unsaid purchaser of KUSA that was trying to purchase them. That was one of the things that we had talked about was, even if you buy them, what are you going to do with that name? Right. I mean, pack the stuff up and ship it, somewhere else to get built. I mean, there's no point in keeping that place open. And I think that was, ultimately the plan was to just use the assets, because the name is it's trash. There's too much stigma with the name, especially with some of the people that were there.
Yeah. So, I mean, unless I'm missing something, I think that's where it's at now. The website's down. They have no buyers right now.
Unless we hear the next couple of weeks if there's another buyer or something, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's just going to be an asset purchase. I doubt it's going to be an IP purchase.
I know from this individual that you and I are talking to, I know Todd is still reaching out to anyone he can, trying to get them to buy this company almost desperately.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this video really puts to bed a lot of DMs that I get. I know Jacob gets blown up all the time. People are the post that I made here. I'll take us off screen really quick and I'll pull it right back up. That was a troll. That was not real.
I still get comments. Oh, I couldn't purchase it. It fell through.
Those were all banners left over from recent events that they had left behind. Because back then they had so much indisposable income. They could just leave, $5,000 banners sitting around. So we had a fire sale and threw all that shit in the trash. I just took pictures before we did it. And didn't really mean for it to, I guess, go as viral as it did. But
you did. Yeah, you did.
So, no, companies were reaching out going, hey, if you're the guy, if you find my parts, would you mind sending them back? Because I never got paid for them. I'm like,
I had a guy that was that messaged me. I've had a lot of, man, that's what's crazy about all this is that I've made a lot of contacts with KUSA garbage. And it's like, man, why? It's just wild the amount of people that, that are involved with this, and they're getting screwed over. It's just, man, I don't know. I don't even know what to say anymore about it, to be honest with you.
I think a lot can be learned from the whole KUSA situation.
But can it though? Because look at KUSA, right? You got SIG, you had Remington, and then now that you see the Staccato and not doing their, taking care of their trigger guards. I mean, it seems like no one really learns.
Well, is it just a gun industry thing, or is it just a thing that happens?
I don't know, man. I think it's the gun industry, because I mean, just from everyone I've talked to since all this started in December of 22, is the gun industry is its own, just really trashy industry. It's a really vile, sneaky, greedy industry. And it's run by a lot of people that give no shits about the people. All they want about is that money. They don't really care about 2A or whatever. They want that money.
Sure. KUSA taught me that, throwing events to us was not this big thing to make money. It was honestly, I want to be able to have grandkids one day and say, your grandpa did some cool shit back in the day like that. We just wanted to do something fun.
Yeah.
The amount of stress and bullshit KUSA put us through trying to break up our team and just everything else. I'm like, guys, I didn't get into event planning for this bullshit. This is not, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, we all had second thoughts of ever doing events again because of KUSA. And,
Yeah.
you know, thank goodness for Jeremy Gresham at IWI, who was like
Jeremy is awesome.
Huge voice of reason. You know, he was the guy, he was like dad that we would just call and say, dude, what do we do? And I mean, he gave us so much good insight and basically said, you know what? You don't need title sponsors anymore. Don't even set yourself up for failure to let some company hang out to dry like that. Just don't do it anymore. And because of KUSA, because of that, we don't do title sponsors anymore. It's a huge loss, but the juice is not worth the squeeze, and KUSA showed us that. So we definitely learned something from it.
Man, really shout out to Jeremy at IWI. That dude is awesome. I did that little range day shoot back in December of 23, I think it was. Right there at Top Gun and Range in Houston. And dude, he sent I think he sent a couple guns to give away and stuff. Like, man, I'll tell you what, that dude's something else. That's one of the guys that actually cares.
He does. He'll say things that you should be like paying him to say sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
Things that I'm just like taking notes, and he honestly wants the shooting community to be for everyone. He wants everyone to shoot competitions. He wants everyone to be a good shot, a good gun owner, a good American, and above all else, just a good person. And, you know, not make all these people that hate us in this two-way world, don't make them all right.
Yeah.
Don't do this bullshit and prove them all right. He is just one of the best dudes. So go give I'm going to put, if I'm editing this later, here's Jeremy Gresham's Instagram. Tell him you watch this.
Yeah. And not only that, like if you at KB this year, like you go up to his booth, it was free to shoot, whatever. Like, I mean,
he's not there to make money.
Not there to make money, there to get you a gun in your hand, you know, and check stuff out. Man, that was really cool. I have a lot of respect for that guy. And I think I've only met him once in person. I've talked to him a bunch, you know, on the phone or whatever, or Instagram and stuff. But he's also an awesome shooter too.
Well, I think that's a positive note to end on. That there are guys out there that are the polar opposite of how some other people run their companies, and Jeremy Gresham's one of them. And there are others. But I guess at the end of the day, I want to leave you with the final thought. But before I do, I am not happy that KUSA is done. I don't think it's a good thing.
I don't think anybody wants them to fail. I
really don't think people lost jobs. I wanted that 101 so bad. I could freaking taste it to this day. Like, I'm a 5.56 AK whore, and that would have been an unaffordable 100 series option. Like, I liked Matt. I liked a lot of the people that were there. I'm not happy about any of this. It just sucks. So I don't want this to this isn't like a hell yeah, they got what they deserved. It's not that at all. It's just what it is. So Jacob, if you wouldn't mind, just any final thoughts, and then we'll end this thing.
Final thoughts on KUSA or what? The
whole situation, where they're at now, or I don't know, some dad advice.
I don't know, man. It's just sad. You know, I mean, I guess it's just, hopefully it's a lesson learned, right? And you're not a failure till you give up. How about that?
All right. Well, everyone, I hope that answered everyone's questions. If you had any more questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Blow up the AK Quality Enforcement Instagram DMs. And, you know, if you have any, I'm going to just plug the page a little bit. If you have any shady stuff going on with a gun company where you feel like you might be getting screwed on something, or you're not getting any customer service, you got a lemon and they're not helping you out, by all means, reach out to the AK Quality page. He doesn't just specialize in AK Quality. He does all qualities. And I'm telling you, this man has posted things and companies have sent emails. They have made changes. It actually worked. And I'm happy to have met him, and he's actually done a lot of good. And it's a good thing. That
I made a lot of contacts, and if I can't find someone to help you, I mean, I'll ask around till I do. So,
all right, let us know what you think down in the comments about the whole KUSA thing. Make sure you go give Jacob a follow and subscribe to the channel while you're here. And finally, come out to Lethal Weapons, man. I'll have to edit that plug in later. Totally forgot to plug it, but come meet Jacob at Lethal Weapons, Texas. Come shoot your retro guns. And we're not live. I could actually hold something, but I don't have anything close. But
look, I got something.
All right, go get it. Here, I'll grab something.
I'm in my boxers here.
I'm so used to going live on this program.
Yeah, there we go. How about, I have to scoot back a little bit to get this to fit.
Hell yeah.
That's what she said. How about that?
Hell yeah, dude.
Modify a little bit for for Lethal Weapon. I gotta take a lot of this stuff off.
Yeah, you gotta go retro with it a bit more than that.
Yeah, it's a little too modern, but it's dope nonetheless.
Anyway, the link to Lethal Weapons is down below. It's the baddest retro gun shooting competition in the country. It's the largest one of its kind. This is the second year we've done it. Jacob's already shot the one last year. And it's a good time. If you want to support us, that's the best way. I'm not even going to ask you to buy a t-shirt today. Just come to Lethal Weapons and be the 1% of Americans that actually shoots your guns with purpose.
Yes. I'm not wearing all this, by the way, this time.
No. Texas in October is brutal.
Not wearing all that. I wore that at KB. I'm not doing that again.
All right, y'all. Well, I appreciate everyone watching. We're just under the hour mark, but I think everything that's said needed to be said, so I won't cut out anything.
Sounds good.
All right, dude. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.
All right. Take care.
And
yeah.